Finger is on the trigger, but they may not pull it. An aerial armada is set to strike against Serbia, but their late reports of 11th hour progress toward a deal on Kosovo. 2 Wyoming men will be charged with murder in the savage and now fatal beating of a gay college student. It's an all-out price war as tobacco companies try to sign up the next generation of smokers. And Eye on America. Asia's financial flu infects apple orchards here in the USA.
This is the CBS Evening News. With Dan Rather reporting from CBS News headquarters in New York.
Good evening. The crisis in the Balkans is coming down to the crunch tonight. The U.S. and its NATO allies are cocked and ready with cruise missile strikes aimed at Serbian forces. At the same time, late reports indicate there is progress toward a possible diplomatic solution. Serbia's dictator and ethnic cleansing specialist supposedly has made key concessions toward a ceasefire and peace talks on Kosovo. CBS News national security correspondent David Martin begins our report from the Pentagon.
Special Envoy Richard Holbrooke arrived at NATO headquarters in Belgium tonight to brief the alliance on what U.S. officials are calling key concessions made by Serb President Milosevic, which, if he keeps his word, would head off airstrikes.
I came to Brussels for a simple reason. The Council is meeting to discuss what it does next in a situation of extreme seriousness, one might say an emergency.
U.S. officials say Milosevic has agreed to withdraw his army and police units from the field in Kosovo and to accept a 2,000-man international observer force aided by unlimited aerial surveillance, which could begin within days. The observers and reconnaissance aircraft will monitor both the pullback of troops and the return of refugees to their homes. Holbrooke brought news of the concession to NATO ambassadors just as they were about to approve an activation order, which would give the Allied commander, General Wesley Clark, the authority to launch airstrikes. Earlier in the day, Clark told his subordinate commanders he might wait up to 48 to 72 hours before issuing the final execute order. The first phase of the strikes would involve cruise missiles launched from U.S. Navy ships in the Mediterranean and from B-52 bombers which flew into England over the weekend.
Despite the apparent diplomatic breakthrough, NATO went ahead and issued the activation order tonight to clear the way for airstrikes while Holbrooke resumes talks with Milosevic, who is now negotiating with a gun to his head. David Martin, CBS News, the Pentagon.
Even as the talks were in progress, the Serbs made a gesture of compliance to UN resolutions by pulling more police out of Kosovo. But the heavy weapons that are the real issue are still on the prowl. The moving item here is Serb armor seen from guerrilla lines. The answer to Serb intransigence was just over the horizon, and all Holbrooke had to do to unleash it was say, no deal. To emphasize the point, the field of fire was symbolically cleared for airstrikes by pulling out the few foreign diplomatic observers in Kosovo. But that exposed targets for Milosevic. No foreign eyes means the estimated 250,000 ethnic Albanians displaced from their homes can be attacked by Serb forces with impunity. And as much as they hate Milosevic, the refugees are not completely sure airstrikes are the answer to their problems. People in this valley believe there are dozens of Serb tanks hidden in the hills surrounding them. If NATO is only going to bomb the big targets, one man here said, it might be better for this place if they kept on talking a while longer. The last few months have brought a sharp dose of reality to ethnic Albanians who paid a terrible price for their dreams of independence. Today, they place more hope in friends than guns.
We rely on NATO and European countries and America. And it's better to talk 10 years than to fight one day.
It may yet come to a fight here, but at least there's one more day of talk. Alan Pizzi, CBS News, Kosovo.
If and when it comes to NATO military action, there's considerable debate over how and whether air power could be decisive in a situation like Kosovo. A short time ago, I talked with our CBS News military consultant, retired U.S. Air Force General Buster Glosson. You're no longer advising the president, but if you were, what would you advise?
Dan, I would counsel to focus our efforts on the Ministry of Interior police force, the equipment and the facilities and everything that was used to conduct the genocide throughout Kosovo. I think the attack should encompass Serbia, Kosovo, to include Belgrade, not be limited just to Kosovo.
Now, here's what I hear from NATO sources. At least the first raid will be confined to Kosovo, probably in the range of 70 to 100 cruise missiles, with the targets restricted to radar installations, surface-to-air missile defenses, the facilities and supply apparatus of the Serbian police in Kosovo, and perhaps a few subsidiary targets. Sound about right to you?
Well, I hope and pray, Dan, that what you've described is not accurate, because I would characterize it as a recipe for disaster. I think when you deal with the leader of a nation state, like he's a caring, rational, humanitarian person, and all of his actions tell you that he's a barbarian, you can't expect to accomplish anything with that type of slap on the wrist.
Thank you, General. General Buster Clausen, there's news about a barbaric act right here at home, the fatal beating of a Wyoming college student who apparently was targeted because he was different. He was gay. His alleged attackers will face murder charges and could get the death penalty if convicted. CBS's Cynthia Bowers and Laramie reports on a hate crime that shocked the nation.
Today, on the University of Wyoming campus, there were armbands and mourning for a student whose death has focused national attention on hate and violence. Early this morning, freshman Matthew Shepard died from injuries he received in a vicious beating.
He came into the world premature, and he left the world premature. They're most grateful for the time that they had to spend with Matthew.
Shepard was 21 years old and gay. Friends say he planned on being a diplomat. A few days ago, he was found hanging from this fence post left for dead. His small body burned and battered, his skull broken. Two men, Aaron McKinney and Russell Henderson, have been charged in the crime. They are accused of luring Shepard from this Laramie bar. The suspect's relatives say it wasn't a hate crime, but a robbery gone too far. Many people here have a tough time believing that.
I think that it certainly cannot be overlooked that he was gay, and I think that at the very, very least it was a major contributing factor.
Wyoming does have a death penalty provision, but has no laws that deal specifically with hate crimes. And many activists feel this case in particular clearly demonstrates the need for Congress to pass national legislation.
Unfortunately, what it shows is that the gay and lesbian community is not free from violence and still is a victim and a target.
Students at an on-campus vigil last night prayed for Shepard's life. Tonight, they will gather again to pray that his death was not in vain. Cynthia Bowers, CBS News, Laramie, Wyoming.
An organization that monitors hate crimes against gays and lesbians reports there were 2,445 such attacks nationwide last year. Only 21 states currently have hate crime laws that cover sexual orientation. President Clinton today called on Congress to pass national hate crime legislation. Still to come on the CBS Evening News, Columbus Day gridlock on Capitol Hill. Boris Yeltsin getting worse with a mystery ailment, a Nobel Prize for Viagra, and treating a serious heart condition with a squeeze around the knees.
Sandwich.
Grandwich.
Sandwich.
Grandwich.
Sandwich.
Grandwich.
Hey, want to turn your sandwich into a Grandwich? Just bake up a big hot Grand's biscuit, split it, and load it up with your favorite stuff, like bacon, egg, and cheese, or hot ham and melted cheese. Sandwich.
Grandwich.
There's an athlete amongst us, disguised as a mother and a neighbor. And when most of us are still sleeping, she's running. She also takes the vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and folic acid in Women's Ultra Mega Multivitamins made by General Nutrition Centers. Tomorrow, she'll get up and run some more. Women's Ultra Mega Multivitamins made exclusively by GNC. Live strong, live well.
Something amazing happened here in Lafayette, Colorado. thanks to oatmeal.
I ate it for 30 days.
100 of us did.
98 of us.
98 of us. 98 of us lowered our cholesterol.
Mine went down 17 points.
A bowl of Quaker oatmeal a day.
My cholesterol went down 15 points.
16 very proud points.
That's a lot of healthy hearts.
Mine went down 5.
27.
9 big ones.
That's some powerful oatmeal.
Can you believe it? Quaker oatmeal warms you heart and soul.
Negotiators for President Clinton and Republicans in Congress spent this Columbus Day trying to discover a way out of the U.S. budget stalemate. Differences remain between the president and the Republicans over education, the environment, Social Security, and other spending and tax priorities. All sides agreed to another stopgap spending bill for the next 2 days to avoid a U.S. government shutdown. Tobacco companies have been fighting a running battle with the government over, among other things, cigarette advertising aimed at young people. Now the cigarette makers are battling one another for customers. CBS's Jim Stewart reports that Big Tobacco, with the young in mind, is taking a knife to cigarette prices.
The ink was barely dry on its buy two and get one free deal when Marlboro came out with another offer. Now you can buy 3 and get 2. It's the boldest move yet in the biggest price war among cigarette makers in years. Retailers and distributors are hopping just to keep up with the displays.
It's going to help our business because...
Smokers, meanwhile, are snapping up bargains they're likely to never see again. The reason for the big sales push, analysts say, is that cigarette makers are trying to lock up their share of the marketplace before billboard advertising, in-store displays, and sports events promotions may be limited under a new agreement about to be reached with the state's attorneys general. And it's no coincidence that a price war strongly appeals to the very customers that cigarette makers now need the most, says tobacco critic Matt Myers.
When the tobacco industry comes up with promotions that give them 2 for 1, 3 for 1, or anything like that, they are focusing almost exclusively on poor young people, people who may still be experimenting, making the decision whether to smoke or not.
And there's evidence the strategy is working. Smoking among young people has climbed 73% over the past 8 years, a trend critics say corresponds to the popularity of such figures as Joe Camel and the Marlboro Man, who figure so prominently in the current campaigns. Smokers should enjoy these giveaways while they can, however, because the price of their addiction is about to go up. Cigarette prices jumped 27% last year while the industry was fighting government regulators. And once these current promotions are over, analysts say, you can look for them to go up again. Jim Stewart, CBS News, Washington.
In the CBS Market Watch end of an era, Welcome Wagon is laying off its personal greeters and will now deliver welcome to the neighborhood freebies by mail. Why? The company says most folks aren't home these days to answer the door. Japan's parliament took another big step toward bailing out that country's troubled banks. That news gave a boost to world financial markets, including Wall Street, where the Dow is now back above 8,000.
It's coming. And this time there's something new. Now there's a wind tunnel by Hoover that's self-propelled, so it almost works by itself. Tests show wind tunnel picks up more dirt than any other clean air upright.
Hoover, nobody.
And now you can get one that's self-propelled.
Like you.
Self-propelled wind tunnel.
When the night has come and the land is dark.
The Sabre is built to help keep you safe, secure, and comfortable.
Oh, I want.
And now you can feel even more comfortable. During Buick's Fall Collection event, receive $2,000 cash back on America's best-selling full-size car. The Sabre by Buick.
Great meal. Uh-oh, gas pressure. What now? What else? Gas X, with the most powerful medicine for fast relief. Nothing works faster.
Hey, want to go for ice cream?
Gas X, the power to fight gas fast.
In clinical studies, Bengay significantly reduced minor arthritis pain, increasing range of motion and flexibility. And now for your aches and pains, get the heating relief of Ultra Strength Bengay with 3 pain relievers. It's medicine for your moving parts.
What would you call a television station with people who understand the Northwest? Because it's our home, too. Coin TV is honored to now be called the Station of the Year.
Russia tonight is coming up fast on yet another bleak winter of discontent. New ailments in a frail and failing economy include a terrible harvest forecast and prospects for new food and fuel shortages in northern provinces. And now there's new talk today about what's ailing Russia's President Boris Yeltsin. Yeltsin's doctors say it's not serious. CBS's Moscow correspondent Richard Threlkeld reports and has the pictures on why others have their doubts.
Boris Yeltsin's visit to some former Soviet republics was his first trip out of Russia in 6 months. At the airport in Tashkent, he needed help just to walk and almost fell over during the arrival ceremony. Tonight, on doctor's orders, he cut short his visit to Kazakhstan and flew home for some bed rest. Yeltsin, who's 67 and survived a heart bypass operation 2 years ago, is in delicate physical health and spends only a few hours a week at his Kremlin office. And now the Russian press is suggesting that it's not just Yeltsin's heart that's the problem, it's his mind. Today, a Russian newspaper quoted a Kremlin physician as saying Yeltsin was showing signs of the onset of Parkinson's disease or Alzheimer's. According to another expert, Dr. Mikhail Vinogradov, a respected psychiatrist who has done psychiatric profiles for the Russian government, the evidence is on the TV screen. Here he's like a school child who's just learned how to write, he says. Trembling hands, lack of coordination when moving. These are outward symptoms of Parkinson's disease. Dr. Vinogradov emphasizes he's never clinically examined Yeltsin, but has been carefully watching him and listening to him in person and in public for 8 years. He's like a mannequin. He doesn't even understand what he's supposed to be doing, observes the doctor. These are signs of vascular effects on the brain from either Parkinson's or Alzheimer's. The Kremlin says that what's wrong with the president is bronchitis and nothing more. But that hasn't quieted the concern, nor the persistent calls for Boris Yeltsin to resign what has become, in any case, little more than the virtual presidency of Russia. Richard Threlkeld, CBS News, Moscow.
U.S. First Lady Hillary Rodham Clinton left Bulgaria for the Czech Republic today on her scheduled trip to Europe. In Prague, she met with the Czech first couple and attended a conference on the world's future. The First Lady returns to Washington tomorrow. There's much more CBS News ahead, including Eye on America tonight. The Asian contagion hits the USA.
Some things are just better in St. John's Bay, like our combed cotton turtlenecks for him and her, with a heavier knit and a more generous cut. Just $14, only at JCPenney.
Just doesn't get any better. Yep.
JCPenney. At Boston Market, you can get the chicken America loves and the deal America wants. Now you can buy a whole chicken at Boston Market for only $5.99, and great side items starting at just 99 cents. So tonight, take home the chicken America loves, only at Boston Market.
For the 14 million women who worry about light to moderate bladder control, now there's new Double Protection Compose Panty and Pad system. The Compose Panty and Pad fit together for double protection. There's a super absorbent disposable pad, but the real difference is the separate washable panty. It gives you double protection with a quilted panel that won't let wetness through. So why worry? Get double protection with Double Protection Compose. Protection that goes beyond the pad.
When your allergies are a nightmare, you need help. Not just any help. You need the power of Zyrtec. Prescription Zyrtec starts working fast and keeps on working for 24 hours. And Zyrtec works against so many allergies, from cats and dogs to pollen and dust. So when allergies are a nightmare, and when are they not? Remember the power of Zyrtec. In studies, drowsiness was the most common side effect. Others included fatigue and dry mouth. Most side effects were mild or moderate. Most people weren't bothered by them enough to stop taking Zyrtec. To learn more, look for an ad in Life magazine or ask your doctor or pharmacist.
You're about to see a child abducted. His own mother set it up. If you think that's shocking, wait till you see where they're taking him. 48 Hours, Thursday.
In Midtown St. Louis today, a fire broke out in a high-rise residence for elderly and disabled people. The fire started on the 21st floor and spread quickly after an explosion. Fire officials evacuated the building's upper floors. At least 3 St. Louis firefighters were injured, 1 critically. 1 elderly woman is in serious condition. The Nobel Prize in Medicine was awarded today to 3 U.S. researchers. Their pioneering chemical and biological discoveries led to the development of Viagra, the first impotence cure in a pill. They say the same basic medical principles may also lead to new heart disease treatments. When it comes to one of the most painful heart diseases caused by a heart starving for oxygen, new follow-up research officially due out next month suggests a possible long-term solution without surgery. What's more, as CBS's John Roberts reports tonight, it's not even a pill you have to take. It's something you wear.
Once you relax into it, then it works nice.
It may be one of the most bizarre-looking medical treatments around.
The pressure becomes very forceful here.
But enhanced external counterpulsation, EECP, is having unusual success in treating patients with angina, a painful condition caused when the heart can't get enough oxygen.
Almost 3/4 of these patients are benefited in some way or form. And 1/3 of this, in my experience, are totally cured as far as the angina is concerned.
Powerful cuffs on the legs, like those on a blood pressure meter, are timed to contract between heartbeats. That drives blood from the legs back into the coronary arteries. It's believed that the extra pressure in the arteries causes new blood vessels, called collaterals, to grow in the heart muscle, increasing the supply of oxygen. Angina can be a debilitating condition. In some cases, even a short walk between the bedroom and the bathroom can evoke excruciating pain and shortness of breath. Even the most popular treatments, drugs, coronary bypass surgery, and angioplasty, often don't relieve the symptoms. Anthony Ambrosio, who was left with angina after a quadruple bypass 6 years ago, noticed the difference almost immediately.
I walk up the stairs now without any problem. I mean, not problem, but I used to stop halfway and take my breath or take deep breaths. Now it's much better.
With the initial EECP studies a year ago, there were questions as to whether the effects would last. Dr. Rohit Arora now has some early answers.
The beneficial effect as a relief of chest pain is sustained even up to 1 year of follow-up.
EECP still isn't widely accepted. Only a handful of hospitals are using it. Yet this primitive-looking concept seems to be finding a place in today's high-tech medicine. John Roberts, CBS News, New York.
A reminder of how fast autumn is flying by. In California, they picked the winner of the Great Pumpkin way off today. This squash with attitude tipped the scales at 974 pounds. What a pumpkin.
74 pounds.
Some things can never be taught in a classroom. You won't find them in any textbook. And with Fixodent's long-lasting hold, you'll be ready, no matter where the lesson takes you. For long-lasting hold, Fixodent, and forget it.
I should have used Preparation H. If you had, you wouldn't be suffering now. Preparation H helps stop itch and further irritation with a soothing layer of protection.
I should have used Preparation H.
Stops itch, stops irritation.
Life's an adventure because you're over 50 and still exploring. So take the Centrum made just for you, Centrum Silver, with age-essential nutrients specially adjusted to keep pace with your changing nutritional needs. Centrum Silver, it's a great time to be silver.
He's worked almost 40 years. She's worked almost 40 years. And during that time, they've gone on walks together instead of cruises, and shared secrets together instead of champagne, just so that someday they could retire and be together all the time. At Cigna, we care about the retirement dreams of over 5 million people. After all, there are dreams too. Cigna. a business of caring.
As a highlight of our franchisee meeting, we have the co-founder of Pizza Hut, Mr. Frank Carney.
Recently, the retired co-founder of Pizza Hut did something surprising. He bought a Papa John's franchise.
Sorry, guys. I found a better pizza.
Today, he owns over 70 restaurants.
Papa John. Better ingredients, better pizza.
He's got it. Try our Papa's Choice. That's a large pizza with your choice of up to 5 toppings for just $9.99.
Tonight, CBS's Eye on America begins a hard news look at the impact of Asia's financial crisis on the United States. Asia has been the market for 30% of U.S. exports, California leading the way. Keeping in mind, exports mean jobs. California's sales to Asia are down 11%. New York down 15%, Texas off 11%, Washington State down 11%. Not all of this is in agriculture, but Bill Whitaker has a look tonight at farmers on the edge of the Pacific Rim.
Apple growing always has its ups and downs, but never has third-generation grower Bruce Grimm seen a year like this. The weather has been glorious, the crop one of his best.
It is a good crop, no question about it.
But many of these beauties will be left to rot in the orchard because some of his best customers just aren't buying anymore.
We're seeing about a 10 to 11 million box drop in that market just in the last year because of the so-called Asian flu.
The Asian economic downturn has laid low one of Washington State's major exports, most shipped to Asia. It's a market growers meticulously cultivated, which now is withering.
Down 60% in Hong Kong, Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, down 70 to 80% in Indonesia.
Steve Lutz is president of the State Apple Commission.
That translates into $90 to $100 million of sales that have been lost, of dollars that won't be coming back into the communities and the pockets of our growers.
Over at the Port of Seattle, business is bustling. Ship after ship steams in, stacked high with record levels of goods from Asia, electronics, apparel, toys, as Asian economies try to export their way back to health.
But the flip side is ailing Asia can't afford to buy many American products. So tens of thousands of these cargo containers that arrive here stuffed are returning to Asia empty.
And it's not just apples piling up. A bumper wheat crop, more than the silos can hold, sits unsold in golden mounds. Normally, 90% is shipped to Asia. Not even Boeing, the state's largest employer and exporter, is above it all. The aircraft maker has been forced to store planes in the Arizona desert, planes Asian countries ordered but now can't afford.
We're sending a warning signal to the rest of the country.
Seattle Port Commissioner Patricia Davis says the still prosperous Northwest, the most trade-dependent region in the U.S., is like the canary in the mine, first to sense trouble in the air.
We're worried in Washington and sleepless in Seattle for a reason, because we're feeling the effects of the Asian downturn, but the rest of the country will be feeling it very soon.
For apple growers, the crunch time is now.
Washington apples. They're as good as you've heard.
They're launching this campaign to boost America's apple appetite. Bruce Grimm is hopeful.
You're either an optimist or you're on Prozac. I do expect the Asian markets to be back.
But when? If Asia's ills aren't cured soon, the first Americans to succumb are likely to be here in Washington State. For Eye on America, this is Bill Whitaker in Wenatchee, Washington.
And New Yorkers could be right behind. Tomorrow on the CBS Evening News, we'll give you a look at the impact of Asia's troubles on the Wall Street workforce. That's part of our world tonight. For the CBS Evening News, Dan Rather reporting. Good night.
Earlier, how Asia's economic flu is affecting U.S. companies. Tomorrow, if Wall Street's party is over, where does that leave you? Eye on America on the CBS Evening News.
CBS.com for news 24 hours a day. Experience you can